Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gentforge, where we're here to help forge businesses into much stronger inputs of themselves. I'm Joe Wallace, and with me is
Shadow Mishi, glad to be here, Joe.
welcome, everybody. And hey, look, it's a crazy time. I know it's that time of the week. We're in the middle of it. Hope everybody's enjoying there. Is this is what we call Hump Day, right? Is this what we're calling Hump Day? Is
It
Wednesday?
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I want to make sure I had it right. Definitely feels like that. I know. And in typical fashion, we're having problems with Instagram's live stream as usual. So we're working on that right now. I believe have it figured out. But that being said, we're here to talk about what we're here to talk about with Sean. What we're
Look,
here to do.
Gentforge, we are here to talk about small business challenges. And the great thing about this stream is we invite guests on every week and we talk to them about their challenges they have. And of course, we have an actual community event that we host every month. And March 6th is our next event. And essentially, it's completely free, but it's really getting small businesses owners to talk, collaborate, and really unite together and solve challenges. It's like a think tank, innovation lab, but for small businesses. So that's really what we're here to do. Today is interesting because it is Hump Day, and we're missing the meme with the camel, right? I've seen where they have like the meme where it's a camel and whatever else. So moving forward, next Wednesday, you need to have that, right?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have my memes in order before we started.
It's very important to have those memes, man. It really is.
100%.
So before we start like talking about new things, I want to talk about old things, which happened for our pilot program. And so, it was the first launch that we did, really testing out FeedLoop, which is our software that's allowing us to create our actual events. Went pretty well for the most part. So we had 16 people that registered. We actually had participation about 10. It was a really great event. We had an opportunity to start talking about not only did we test the platform out, get people acclimated with it, but what was really cool is we got to start talking about some challenges that people had with inside their business. One of the topics we talked about was process automation, and of course, what areas of your business can you automate? So we were talking about artificial intelligence injected into your small business. And coming to find out, a lot of people were still doing the old school method. You're not really doing a lot of automation. Some people talked about some certain logic they're adding, but for the most part, it was interesting. We talked about quality control, right, Joe? That was another one we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
essentially, it was pretty much, you're scaling your business, you're getting to the point where you need to hire some help, and you want to make sure that you can maintain and manage that quality control. And how do you go about doing that? So it was cool talking to a lot of different business owners and get their insights. I mean, we had some people that were from the bookkeeping, from the financial industry. Of course, we had IT. We also had some that were from the HVAC area, as well as from plumbing. So it was really neat to see all these different groups come together and start attacking these challenges from different angles and from different industries. So that was really cool. So that's about the pilot. And of course, Joe, March 6th, registration is open. People are already actually registering, which was a little ahead of the time,
Yeah.
right? So if you're
That's that
watching,
powerful word of mouth, Sean. You know how it goes. Like it's just one of those things that we're always dealing with here where, you start talking about a good idea and people get excited. Next thing you know, things are piling on. It's like, what?
I know it's like, so if you're looking to register, it's at gentforge.net, and probably Joe can put the thing on the bar on the bottom. You'll notice that it's probably linked and it's also on Facebook. There is a Facebook group as well. You can always reach out to me and I'll add you directly to it. We are really excited to get this going, and we're so glad to see so many people that are interested in the community initiative that we're doing. Once again, Gentforge is designed to bring small business owners together in a think tank innovation fashion where we can talk about business challenges and hopefully network and share ideas and really essentially get people wanting to discuss some of the problems they got in their business. It's not always about pounding your chest and saying my business is amazing, right? Well, of course it is, right, Joe? It's always amazing. But at the same time, it's really good to have a place to go where we can help solve those issues. With that being said, I'm done with wrapping up what we've been doing and where we're at. Joe, let's get to the meat and potatoes of tonight.
Well, sure, and absolutely. And again, before we do just that, I wanted to point out that I did in fact get a meme ready to roll.
Thank you. That's
Yes,
awesome.
yes. Just
Kind of looks like
just
me.
need some time. Just need some
Is that me?
time. It is. It is accurate
All right.
footage of Sean doing something. I think you're in the rain, but I could be wrong. I could be
It,
wrong.
it looks great, man. That's what usually when I'm working with clients, that's what I usually wear. They love it.
That is right there as well. By the way, guys, again, just to point out, this is the website you'll go to. Feel free to roll in there and get going on registering. You can either go with as an exhibitor or an attendee. We're looking for people to go as exhibitors, just because again, as Sean had mentioned, it is free to roll in and present yourself and definitely show everything you got. We want that exhibit hall to be full, and you'll know more as you go in. But just know, if you had to choose one and you really wanted to promote your business, boom, go to exhibitor. It's that simple. Don't think about it. Just do it. All right. That being said, yeah.
It's awesome. So
Well,
I know we got some questions, right? And we're going to talk about that, right?
Well, absolutely. We had some questions, and obviously, when we talk about these sorts of things, we chat with a lot of businesses out in the wild, not just for our own purposes, but through, our sponsor company as well as Have Solutions, and what we do a lot of the time is we get a lot of questions and concerns. And some people, we were thinking about tackling this from more of like a basic standpoint where if you started a business, you probably know why you started it. But sometimes Sean and I kind of come to the realization, especially with our history in the educational sectors, to really understand something, you kind of have to break it down to its bare minimum, right? Like down to the basics. And while it may seem kind of redundant to kind of go back and take a look, sometimes it makes you realize that, well, maybe you skipped a step, or you didn't think of something. And I think that's where our heads are at this point, trying to figure that out. So I want to ask the most simplest question, what if I fail? That is the number one question you think of when you think of opening a business. Obviously, you're also thinking about, can I make money on this? But all kinds of stems back to that same question, doesn't it? What if I fail?
Well, failure is not an option is a phrase that's actually associated with the NASA flight director. It's an old saying. They actually got it when you go to NASA. It says failure is not an option. But to be honest, failure also allows you to really build up that self-confidence and really learn from your mistakes. I'd say you and I have failed on many different occasions. I remember in grade school, you fell. Dad would do this to me and say, "You're not." Anyways, you get the idea. But look, failure is part of the whole process, right? But I would say, from my perspective, that it's important for you to go in with a good plan, a clear plan, and really do as much as you can with being able to build out your business plan and have a solid foundation going in. But I don't think failure should be a concern. It's part of it, but you can always get back up and continue, if that makes sense, Joe, right?
100%. And really what it boils down to is, well, if you obviously started the business because you thought you had a good idea, at least I hope so, right? And if that's the case, then you've kind of validated it, right? And that's really where you want to be, is you want to validate your idea. A lot of people sometimes start, though, without even doing that. They just think, well, I'm going to do this, And hey, maybe it's because they thought they were going to make a lot of money at it, or it was going to be easy. I mean, who knows? They could have any reason under the sun. But if you think about it, you have to ask yourself, is what you're providing going to benefit people in a way, or it's going to help not just yourself, but other folks? And do people value it? And if the answer is yes, then by the way, that's a perfect idea for a business. And the question then becomes not, am I going to fail? Is, when does it become successful, super successful, And I think that's really where a lot of people, get tripped up, is like, where even to, check off the failure mark. When does it become a failure in your mind is another question entirely, right? Because
it's interesting when you mention that, Joe. When you start looking at products and services and you start thinking about why people start providing a specific product or service. And if you look at the root issue, usually they had a challenge with that particular thing. And that's why they start offering that, because they found a solution or they thought that there was a need for that. And I think that's very important. I always cringe when I hear people say, well, I'm in it for money. Well, we're all in it to be able to make money to be able to live. But at the end of the day, for me, money doesn't mean everything. What it means for me is being able to, in my case, really being able to support the community. I love being able to give back. And that's one of the reasons why I was with in higher ed for so many years, is being able to give back and see the light bulb go off with students, and really being able to get that smile, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So going back to the business, I hope you do it because you're passionate about it, and you know for a fact that it's going to change or help someone. I mean, think about it. Why do people go into a variety of different service industries? Because they like to serve the community, right? They love to serve that product or service directly to people. So I would say, if you got a good product or service, and you believe in the product, go for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that really is long and short of it. I mean, if you really have something that's going to really make a difference in people's lives, or people get excited about, it's a no-brainer. And of course, I know there's a lot of people out there who love to just talk about how, if we did this one thing, right, this one thing, we would just make millions of dollars. And you may be right. You may actually be right. But, that one thing is, getting it off the ground. That's a whole nother, thing altogether. So the number two concern I think people really have at this point is, I don't have enough money to get it started. And because great, I've circumvented what if I fail. Now, how do I go about actually doing it? Right.
We all need additional, operating capital, right? There's many ways of being able to get operating capital, but let's start with this. Try selling it one time, two times. Does someone bite? If you see people are actually going for it, that's a huge green light. I mean, Joe, I'm going to go back and say, when we were starting off with doing IT services, I'm not going to mention any names, but we'll just say that certain people said, I don't know if people are going to buy that, and even at that price. I turned around and gave them a side eye. I said, what are you talking about? If you believe in your product, and it's a good market value, and you're offering a good service with it, people are going to buy that. It's also an emotional piece, but you got to try, right? You definitely got to try.
Yeah, exactly. And look, the goal isn't really to raise money, to then get started. Is to generate money, right? It's to start building, like you said, you sell before you build, right? Can you do it? Can it be sold? And if it can, look, you found a product that's going to help to actually if you fund it, will make more money. There's so many people out there who think that, if they build this, like, a great example, there are people out there who have built apps that I know, and just so people are aware, we're not talking about my backyard. Those guys have a great app and it's working well. Okay.
That was last week.
Yeah, that was last week. I'm talking about people who, over the course of my professional career, I have seen build apps and have completely just had to stop everything they were doing because the app they were building wasn't doing what needed to be done. I believe one was an app on trying to connect all these other businesses out there who were doing landscaping services, so they could all be found in one app. And the problem with that was that, well, I'll put it to you this way. If you're a landscaping company and you've spent a lot of money and time developing a network and going out and having a core group of clients, do you want to share that with people in one app? Probably not, because you've built that yourself and you want to kind of keep it to yourself. Now, that's great for people who are just starting out, but the idea was to get existing folks. It didn't work out too well. And the point is they invested a lot of time and money into it without thinking, or should I say, going through the process of finding out if people were going to want or going to value it. Not on the consumer side, because the consumers love the idea. Why? Because there's one location, a convenient location for them to go to get the service. But It was the people who were provided the service that were unhappy. And that you gotta think about what you're doing and why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. And there's two components to that example, right? Hey, Sean, do you know of any other things that might have been like people going, maybe not having a good idea that we're trying to sell? What other examples can you think of?
Amazon is a great example. I mean, when it first started, right? I mean, who thought Amazon was going to kick off the way it is? I mean, look, there's just so many.
Well, it started with books, didn't they?
Right.
I mean, that was
right. I mean, and look, I mean, my thing is if you believe in the product and so forth, go after it. Yeah. Definitely go after it. There's going to be definitely people out there, and just say this: it's noise. Everything you see around is noise, right? So you just got to work around that. Right.
Well, look, you can always go a lot of different routes when it comes to this. By the way, guys, your traditional idea is to, you can always bootstrap it. You can always try to get funding. You can put a business plan together. I want to say there are business to business partnerships. They can help fund early growth. You can work with other companies. There's lots of ways to do this. Heck, you could even do crowdfunding, though maybe not as easily as you could in the past, right? You could do Kickstarter and Indiegogo. But what you can't do is you can't let yourself be shortballed or shortball yourself when it comes to actually putting the product out there and selling it for what it's worth, right? And I think that's the number one reason why people worry about money, is because they don't think that they can sell for a high dollar amount. And I can honestly tell you, and Sean has already said before, it is worth it. People will pay for it, but I will second that. And I will put that on steroids, because it's 100% worth the cost for the person who is getting the value out of it. So just remember that as long as you have value, you're going to make them. It's going to do well.
And this is another reason why you should join these actual events, is because we actually get deeper into this, and it's great when it's more than just two people. We break out into workshops. We break out into different groups, and from there we have these different workshops that you'll attend. But these are great questions, Joe. Really, really enjoy them. And, a lot of people are really are concerned about these issues. That's why I brought them up.
Absolutely. And moving on to the next one, I don't know where to start. And I kind of feel like we answered that a lot already. But if I had to put a cap on that or add to that, I think it really goes back to what we talked about before. Well, did you think about what it is you were selling? And I think all you have to ask yourself is, and this is a question we ask all of our clients too, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to solve a problem that people are struggling with? If you're there to offer a solution, you're going to be able to, and people want that solution, you're going to sell it. It's that easy. Don't just provide a product that doesn't do anything. Provide a product that solves a problem. Be it service, be it a product. That's it.
I'm going to go one step further, and I want to talk about this whole piece about the starting aspect. People think that the starting aspect is, you got to get your registration in, become a legal entity, get your finances in, build your business plan, get your legal structure in, do your market research, yada, 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 yada. Here's the thing. Some people get overwhelmed, Joe, with that, and they just say, okay, this is just too much for me to handle, and I can't do this. And I'm going to use the method about your room, the dirty room. You got clothes everywhere, and you got this everywhere. It's just a mess, and you walk in, and a lot of times you say, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to walk out, right? But how you address it, right? As my mom used to say, how do you eat an elephant? It's, one bite at a time. Start with one particular aspect, right? One area, and you work your way through it. Maybe you find the pile of dirty clothes, take the clothes and you put them in the dirty basket, and you got to start somewhere. So when it comes to this, you can get overwhelmed really quick. Okay. Maybe the name is not important. Okay. I've watched people sit there for hours try to design a logo, and they just get wrapped up in the branding, the logo, the branding, the logo. What is it going to mean? The vision statement. Oh, you just make this really simple. Just start somewhere and start slowly building. And here's the thing: you're gonna trial by error. You're gonna fail. You're gonna. I can't tell you just from our perspective. We're in since 2022. We've been doing this now, and through those couple of years that we've been in business, how many times have we had to go back to the table? I can't tell you where we've had to go back to the table for so many reasons. It was a technological issue. It was a staffing issue. It was a business partner issue. It was a financial issue.
Right.
Let's just go one step further and just say, look, we're growing and we have these issues now, right? There's just so many different issues. Like today, it's interesting. Now we're dealing with HR issues, right? That's the biggest piece. Okay, so now you're growing, you're expanding, you're bringing people into the team. How do you get people onboarded? I mean, you got all these different tools. Like for us, we got a ton of tools.
Yeah,
project management
lots
tools,
of things to look at.
right? You got CRM, you got all these different things, and you got to get people acclimated to the tools. And here's the thing. Now that brings in a whole another dynamic piece. So here's what I'll tell you. Start somewhere and just slowly start building, right? And then, as you learn, then you're gonna go back and forth. It's a fun process. It really is.
It can be. It helps to have things set up right the first time if possible. But I'm gonna be straight, guys, and this is coming from a graphic designer now. So I want you to take this in that vein. I would almost want you to start with a circle on a piece of paper for a logo, and then literally just go on and build as much as you can till I figure out what your business is, why it does what it does. What is your why? Find your why first, then get your logo. It is ridiculous to try and make a logo sometimes if you don't have an idea of what you're even trying to do or be, what message you're trying to give people, the tone you're trying to set for people. It is about feeling, but it's not as in depth as people like to make it. Can you make something that's simple but effective in conveying your tone? And a lot of people just think that it's going to be everything, that the logo is going to do everything for them, that people are attracted to logos. I want to be honest with you. No one cares about your logo. What they care about is you, what the logo represents. So if they see your logo, if they're not attaching what you mean to them with your logo, then then they're just going to see it as another piece, another logo, another icon. I'm not going to see it as anything else. So spend less time on your logo. Spend less time on some things that aren't as important. Spend more time on solving the problems people have. And if you're looking for somewhere else to start by looking to build around proven demand first, and then explore later. And for anybody that's actually started a business, you know exactly what I mean. Something that's safer, and if that's working, move into experimental.
Very well said, Joe, and I like it where you're taking it from the whole graphic design perspective, and that's great to know. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, it's a unique perspective that everybody gets, so it's definitely good to share with folks. And honestly, guys, this leads into the next concern, which is I'm scared to put myself out there, and really is. That's what's part of that right there. Your logo and your creativity, all of that, your marketing, everything that's based around you, who you are, your business, people call it brand, but I feel like that word is overused a lot. It's really just your company, period. Like your ideology, brand is like, it feels cold, Of course, now I'm arguing semantics. I apologize, but it's just like, it's one of those things that if Coca-Cola is not as worried about the service they're providing per person as your local HVAC service person down the street trying to provide for the family. You know, they're more interested in the bulk, the bigger picture. You know, they probably should be worried about minutia, but they don't have time for the minutia. All right, so that's why smaller businesses are so important too, because it's just like when you break up government, right? You know, you have like state level, city level, town level. You have all these different levels, and if it gets too big, small things get lost in the shuffle or don't even get talked about. But when you bring it down into smaller groups, it's just like smaller classrooms. You're able to dig down, and actually get things done for people. Very, very much find it very more meaningful. So, it's definitely something that's to consider. Sean, any thoughts on that?
I got to be honest with you. When you start talking about government, I've been thinking about all the headline news. I'm not going to go there, but there's been a lot of entertaining things that are going on in the news. But no, I mean you're absolutely right, and I think what's important for me, I always say, putting yourself out there is extremely important. You are, if there is an emotional piece, a lot of people are buying because they're buying a piece of you. Number one, and number two, I will tell you this: my concern is not necessarily putting yourself out there only, but it's also being consistent with whatever you're doing. You say, okay, well, I'll use an influencer as an example. Well, the person online has, for example, a million followers, or you look at Mr. Beast, right? And they started with nothing. I mean, I think he did a ton of videos. I think he said, you don't really get any traction until you've done at least 100 videos. And then let's talk about the next piece. But I think it's about being consistent and continuing and making sure, even with business. I mean, we've been in business for multiple years. I can't tell you how many people that we had reached out 2 years ago, Joe, and are just now reaching out to us and saying, hey, I need your service now. Yeah. It took a year, it took 2 years, but they come along. And what's important is we're consistent. As a business owner, we've been here, we've been able to continue. And that's very important, is to show stability. People want stability. People want to know that you're going to be here. If you keep changing, like if you're offering this product and tomorrow you're now offering a new product or service, you need to really think about what you're doing. So,
oh yeah, and if you look, what exactly is it that you're trying to accomplish? Well, you're trying to make your business successful. You're not trying to, of course, in the case of Mr. Beast, he's definitely promoting himself, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because what was he trying to promote? Well, he's trying to promote his ideology, and that is to try and help people the best he can. The only way he knew how was through massive giveaways and things of that nature. And I found that to be very refreshing, first of all. But it also benefited him, of course. What you're trying to do is benefit your business. So take it from that perspective, right? You're putting yourself out there so that your business can benefit. And my question to a lot of people is, when it comes to that, especially those that have had to go through the ridiculousness of corporate America, you had to go to events, I'm sure, for work. You may even have had to go to trade shows. You probably had a lot of things you had to do you didn't want to do, but you did it because you were asked to, and it was also benefit the business, right? It's a benefit so that you can continue to make a paycheck. And this is just that, but on steroids. Now you get to control everything, and that's scary to a lot of people for good reason, because, well, you're probably wondering if you're going to mess it up. But guess what, guys? This is exactly one of the main reasons why Gentforge exists. This is why we want to make sure that we're able to get in front of you and help answer these questions. So instead of worrying about making everything from scratch, take somebody else's credibility, right? Their knowledge, absorb it, and don't necessarily just parrot it because you don't want to steal it, right? You should give credit back where it's due and just say, look, these guys said this. Could be Sean and I, could be another influencer of any other kind out there talking about these things, and just say, hey, they said this. in practice, I found it to be very effective, and I love doing it. Now I'm singing the praises. I want everybody to know how it went for me. Or these guys over here, if you're in HVAC, I keep using that example, but find somebody who's really good at talking about the HVAC concerns and hammer in on it and talk about those things. Get on podcasts. Hey, guys, come talk to us. Feel free to reach out, by the way, over there, gentforge.net or gentforge.org. Info at gentforge.com. Absolutely reach out and see if you want to be on the show. Happy to talk to you about these sorts of things. And go and partner with bigger brands, people who have actually been out there and done it for a while, different companies. Don't try to build everything alone. That's the goal, because there's a lot more out there available to help you out than hinder you. Or should I say there's plenty of things out there that will hinder you. So get all the help you can by reaching out and working with other people. I know that's the opposite of what I just said, but I realize, no, there's actually a lot out there that's going to be put in your path to try and hinder you from doing what you need to do. But that's why we've built these groups to make sure that we can circumvent those things.
So I really want to do this really quick. Gentforge.net, March 6th, 2 to 4 p.m. Central, virtual, live, completely free for both attendees and exhibitors for small business owners. Please join us. We are uniting small businesses to overcome challenges together. It is a free community for small business success. We're there to collaborate, problem solving, great opportunities and to be able to network with other small business owners. And of course, practice skills and strategies, and of course, access to industry expertise. And I know, Joe, you've been working with a lot of different vendors. Actually, both of us have. And they have been really, really excited about what's coming. So we will be having other technology vendors joining us to be able to give their insight, talk about their tools, and really how those tools can help your small business as well. So please, 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 if you care about your small business owner, if you got a friend, a loved one, a family member, please share this and let them know that there is a community. There are people out there that want to help, and it doesn't cost $1. It doesn't cost anything. So just wanted to add that to it.
Absolutely. And don't forget, guys, if you want to register, go to gentforge.net, like we just said, and stay tuned to what we're doing here as well. But it's just some key takeaways real quick I wanted to point out that we really came up with here was really just kind of, because we're kind of coming down to the end here, stop over planning and just start validating. Why did you do what you do? Why are you in this business? Why are you working hard? And sell before you build. You can't build it all at once. Take as much time as you need within reason. And and remember that cash flow is more important than funding. You need to make sure that you're at as steady a pace as you can. That doesn't mean be so safe that you don't find success, that you hamper yourself, but definitely remember that Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And leverage other people's credibility. You don't have to build it in isolation. You don't have to build everything alone. But you are building. Never forget that. You are building, and it's going to be worth it in the end. You're going to make a huge difference for yourself and for everybody involved. And the last thing I'll say is fix your messaging. Make sure your messaging that what you're trying to tell people is first and foremost in your mind at all times. That when we talked about with the logo, your message is more important than how you appear. It is more important that people understand who and what you're trying to be and do, than how you look doing it. If people look at your brand and, just like, okay, I remember there was a huge tizzy over Bud Light recently, not too long ago. All right. At that point, people were looking at that logo and not getting the warm fuzzies. Okay. And that's the reason why Bud Light was so confused. Because they thought that the brand couldn't be beaten. I think they got proved otherwise. Now, I don't know where they are right now in terms of all of that. But they pretty sure they got a wake-up call. So Remember that. Remember that.
You didn't see the Post Malone? He just did a commercial with him. Actually, it was in the Super
No,
Bowl.
I have not.
Yeah, it was good.
So,
It's interesting. Yes.
and that's pretty much it, though. I mean, they very obviously, if that's the case, they just quickly found something else that they could distract, right? And that is it right there, guys. It's important to remember that people's opinions of you. I mean, not that you should just roll over for every little thing and be a yes person, because people don't like that either. But definitely remember that that how people feel about your what you do and say is very important. Go ahead, Sean. I know I've talked a lot.
No. You actually hit on a lot of different areas with key takeaways. I also want to mention one big thing, and people talk about keys, and usually people think of keys as ways of being able to open doors. And when you're a small business owner, most people are focused on being able to sell your product or service and being able to find operating capital. But what people don't realize is you have invisible keys already that you don't even know about, which are your contacts, the contacts that you already have. You may be sitting on 500, 600, 400 contacts on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever you have. Reach out to those contacts first, you know, and start networking with people. Be vocal about what you're doing, and people will listen to you. They will listen to you. And you definitely want to be consistent. As long as your message is consistent and as long as you're willing to network, things will happen for you. They will. They have for us. I guarantee they'll happen for you too. But Joe, you're absolutely right with all the key takeaways, and I'm looking forward to seeing those of you that are watching us March 6th for our next event. And once again, it is virtual. It is online. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time. We are in Texas. However, wherever you are, you could be across the world, across the seas. Join us. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of getting people on other things, feel free, guys, to go to our Facebook, our LinkedIn, and here's our Facebook right here, our profile. We need people to join on those pages and like those pages, follow those pages, because right now we are not streaming to some of those pages because they won't let us do it. So, and we love that there is a lot of secure aspects to this. You know, we love that people are caring what's involved in their social network, but we definitely need more uh, uh, people in those areas to help out. And here is the company one for LinkedIn. And of course, I'm not so sure about Instagram, but we can work about that later.
Joe,
By the
I'm
way,
gonna do the
guys.
pitch. I'm gonna do the
Yeah.
pitch one more time.
Yeah.
If you care about a small business owner and you want them to be able to succeed and you want them to be able to find a good networking group that doesn't cost them anything, it's a free group. That's why you join Gentforge. It is a strong community of small business owners willing to work close together. Share this, like this, contact us and even let us know if you know someone that's a small business owner. We're more than willing to talk to them. Okay. So please do your part on that. And we're looking forward to build this community.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much all we had for today, unless there were some final thoughts, Sean.
Well, I was thinking about Mr. Rogers. We're gonna have to do that, or Jerry Springer, where they had the final thoughts. We're gonna have to start doing that.
Yeah.
Take care. Till then, next time. Something
something like that. No, absolutely. And I think at some point we had a. Let's see here. I think it was.
What was his outro? Now I want to know what his final. It was called the final thoughts. Till next time.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves and each other. There you go.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's Jerry Springer's.
Hey, that's a good one. Well, and look, hey guys, we're here to help forge businesses to make them stronger, and that's what it's all about. So let's forge this path forward together. All right, let's do that.
At Gentforge, we're more than a networking group. We're a community-driven initiative empowering small business owners to overcome challenges and build meaningful connections. By supporting Gentforge, you're investing in workshops, resources, and networking opportunities that help local entrepreneurs thrive. Your contribution fuels innovative events, mentorship programs, and collaboration spaces that create lasting impact for businesses and the communities they serve. Together, we can forge stronger businesses and a brighter future. Join us in shaping the next generation of local success. Support Gentforge today.